Since the merger between Emergency Medical Services and the FDNY. We're honoring these first responders during National EMS Week, which kicks off on Monday.
Yeah, New York's Emergency Medical Response Service is the busiest in the world, handling more than 4,000 calls a day. So joining us this morning is FDNY Commissioner Lillian Bonsignore, who also served as the former chief of EMS operations. She's here to discuss the importance of honoring these essential workers. So, Commissioner, good morning to you. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, before we get to those events to honor the EMS workers, we need to talk about fire safety. We've had several deadly fires in the city, and we've been also talking about how these open doors are part of the cause of these fires spreading so quickly.
Right.
Can you talk about that and remind folks about
something so simple, and it seems like it's a really hard thing to ask in the middle of a fire when you're afraid or you're trying to escape.
Sure.
But the most critical thing you could do to buy yourself time, buy your kids time, buy your neighbors time to get out is close a door. Close every door. Close your bedroom door, close your front door, close the door in a building, close the roof door. Any door that you come across, please just close behind you. What that does is it creates an obstacle and it stops the wind from moving the fire through the buildings.
Yeah, fire's looking for oxygen, and so it will move up. I was so struck in one of the videos that we saw afterwards of a charred staircase. You could literally see the voracious flames that they had moved through that. We are meant to have self-closing doors, right? Isn't that fire code in the city? Talk about our older housing stock in the city and how that plays in.
Yeah, self-closing doors are amazing, right? Because they do that job for you.
Right.
But not everybody has them in the older houses or in the private dwellings.
Are they meant to? Is it the law that they're supposed to be in place?
You know, in some of the bigger buildings, yes, right?
Okay.
And the landlords should be aware that we should have these in there. So I would say if you know that your doors aren't closing on their own, reach out to your landlord, make sure that they know so they can make whatever repairs are necessary. But closing doors is literally one of the easiest things and one of the most critical things.
It's such a simple thing for like a few $100s, and it could be truly life-saving in these instances.
And the other thing that's really important is know where your fire escape is and know how to get to it. Don't block your fire escapes and have access to it.
Yeah, do you feel like there are enough inspectors to make sure people or building owners are making sure that they have these self-closing doors?
I think it's on the onus is on everybody, particularly the people who live in the apartments. If things aren't working, and you should make those complaints to 311 or to your landlord. We can't change human behavior, but we have a lot of people in this city with a lot of places that people live. So inspectors can't get to every single apartment to know that this is happening. This fire prevention and fire safety is all of our responsibility, every single one of us. And fires are scary and deadly, as we've seen.
And I just want to give a plug here at this point in time also for extension cords and not using those inexpensive $2 extension cords that you oftentimes see in our local stores.
Yeah, many of the fires we see are a result of electrical problems, right? So if you take an extension cord or a power strip, you plug 10 things into it and then put that into one outlet. It was never really designed for that. So, you have to be real careful. I hear you're talking about it being in the 90s next week, which means people are going to put their air conditioners in, and those air conditioners should be plugged in a wall, not in a power strip, not into an extension cord.
It may seem convenient at the time, but it could be life-saving at the end of the day. We want to talk about EMS, right? So this year's theme for celebrations is improving outcomes together. I know you've been pushing for pay parity for EMS. You were the former head of that. You don't want to leave your people behind.
That's correct.
Talk about how you are going to try to enact that goal, especially when the city is facing a multi-billion-dollar deficit and is working on budgetary issues.
So EMS Week is a week that we get to celebrate EMS across the country, particularly in New York City. For us, it's the FDNY, but it's also the private companies and the hospital EMTs and paramedics and all the people who go out there first to save lives. As far as pay parity, I am very much somebody who is advocating for this because I see the trend within the EMS community that there are fewer people seeking this type of work, particularly after COVID, when there was, EMS on the front lines of a very dangerous thing. So, we want to be able to sustain EMS. We want to be able to draw people into a career, not just a pass-through. So I'm very, very much in favor of that.
Are you still experiencing EMS staffing issues?
Yeah, I think this is something that New York is not exempt from, right? This is happening across the nation. This is not just us. We used to be able to skate it, but we're not skating it anymore. It is difficult to get people into this type of work, and then once they're here, to keep them.
And
so
do you think
pay
the
parity
pay
is something that can help, you know, support your family and allow for you to work only one job instead of multiple jobs to survive.
And so that's sort of the roadblock, because if you're going to go into civil service, you recognize that there are other paths that have the higher compensation ability.
And that's what we see. We see people come in, stay for a little while, and then leave to some place that pays higher.
Greener fields,
and having grown up in EMS, I spent 31 years in EMS, ending with being the chief of EMS. But I worked 4 jobs too, growing up here.
I'm sure. Let's talk about the events taking place next week.
Yeah, we got all types of events across the city. We have the Second Chance Brunch, which is something I absolutely love, which pairs the people who have been resuscitated and their rescuers. So this is such an incredible event. We're looking forward to that.
That is fantastic. Things to celebrate all the way around. We'll stay in touch with you about the pay parity issue.
Thank you.
And see if you can get some traction on that with the city leaders. We appreciate you being here, Commissioner Bonsignore, and of course, enjoy the celebrations of the EMS week as well. And we'll be back.